What's going on, guys? Bingo here. I'm with the Duel Factory for season 2, episode 6 of X-2 Drop. I totally forgot what I was saying. It's late, a lot later than we usually do recording this. So this week's topic is a simple question: what to play at the upcoming YCSs. So really, it's a breakdown of the metagame, what we feel the best calls are, and honestly, what we want to do is go through what the best decks are, what the best rogue decks are, their strengths, weaknesses, and why we would or would not take them to an event. So, Joe, how much have you been following the metagame right now?
Ever since the Pro Play Tour Invitational, and then since then we've had the release of Ignition Assault. I've been looking at a lot of online competitive play, and I've been following a lot of on YouTube and stuff like that, and the occasional Reddit then stuff like that. But in terms of me, the big three decks right now, and when I think about them, are Spiral, because there's 3 versions of that, and then there's 4 or 5 different versions of the Luna, some sort of capacity.
Lunalight Orcus deck, you cut out a little bit.
The Lunalight engine, just in general. I mean, some people, but I don't think it's that great in the deck. But some version of Lunalight, and then Altergeist. Even with one multi-faker, trap cards are somehow still super powerful this format. So that's what I think. That's what I personally think the big 3 are in terms of what's come out since the format change.
Yeah, I would agree. If you had to rattle off a couple of rogue decks that can do, pretty well, I guess more anti-meta, they counter the picks pretty well, what would you say? I would say Dinos is a pretty decent pick.
Yeah, Dinos is a very, very good rogue pick. Salomon Great, I think, is bumped down to rogue just because of representation at this point. But me and Aldo have been talking a lot about, we think that deck's really, really, really good right now. Just people aren't playing it because of everything else that's prevalent. I haven't seen a bunch of representation of it, but I think Heroes is still a really good rogue pick right now. And then the last one I can think of is Guru Control. But people have been playing Altergeist over it just because Multi-Faker is that powerful of a card, but that deck's still really good.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I would draw the line at tier 2 decks to bring to an event. Everything else, you're just bringing it because you want to bring it. So you would play the Lunalight deck with the Time Thief engine, right? That would be your meta call.
So right now, my favorite build of it, I think right now is the Time Thief build, like you were saying, and that's just because it now has a searchable Infernity Barrier for spell and trap cards, so it has a better chance of playing against cards like Evenly Match and Lightning Storm, because I think Evenly Match is the best card in Yu-Gi-Oh right now, without a doubt. And you need to be able to out that card, and since your deck's not making Trigate or anything like that, you need a way to stop it, and Retrograde's one of those cards. Yeah. But it's one of those things when you look at the deck, and this is also from another streamer that I was watching, Phoenix Flare, who's been doing testing and stuff like that. He hasn't revealed his build, but he'll go over and he'll talk about how he thinks cards like Magician Souls in it is better than the Time Thief cards themselves, because it could have been, the Time Thief cards could have been any other extender and he'd been able to combo. Whereas we drew a Time Thief in a band hand, it wasn't really good. But he also admits that losing Retrograde is a big, big difference maker, because then you lose the ability to play through cards like Lightning Storm and Evenly Match. So it's a toss-up. But I really like the Time Thief build right now.
Yeah, I feel like out of all the meta decks right now, I would gravitate towards the Lunalight Time Thief variant as well, just because I really like the cards and the interactions and the toolboxiness of the deck. Obviously, the most powerful deck being Spiral. I just don't want to play. I've just never been a fan of that play style, so that would be what I pick. So if you took that deck to an event, what would be some of the meta calls you play for hand traps, as well as what are some strong sides that you would pick?
Okay. So if I were to take because that's probably probably the most likely deck I'd take. I don't know if I'd take the Time Thief build, but that is so far my favorite. So probably something like that. In terms of main deck hand traps, you have to play Gamma, because part of your combo involves searching Gamma, so you can't lose that out of your deck. And Gamma by itself, even as a low impact card, not low impact, but low impact game 1, I think that card's really, really strong. Especially So I was talking to Doug before you got in our chat earlier about this, but one of like the cool interactions. So for players who like decide that they're going to main deck Nibiru and stuff like that, you could hard draw into a Gamma, and then your regular natural combo makes Lambda anyway, right?
Yeah.
So you could be going through the combo, and your opponent decides to Nibiru, and then this is basically what happens. You punish them for trying to main deck cards that are good going second, or you punish them for not playing the game. Either way, you still end on your board, and you still end with an extra negation in hand because you can just search a Gamma and resolve it again. So I think you have to play that card for sure. I don't know if I would main deck Draw and Lockbird because like it's really powerful against Spiral, but it doesn't like do anything else across the board because like Lunalight can play on it just fine.
Yeah.
So in the mirror, I don't think it's good. I think against Spiral, it's like broken, and then like Altergeist and stuff, I don't think it's very good.
Yeah, that's the problem with maining Droll is at a YCS in the later rounds, there's a high chance you could run into Spiral every single round, or the format's split enough to where it's like, what is it, still around 50% Spiral?
It's pretty close.
So you could get really lucky and benefit and get the payout of main decking Droll, or you could just get shafted because against Altergeist, it's not going to do anything.
Right.
Like at best, you'll stop them from doing one search, and that's if they open Extravagance.
Mm-hmm.
But the Gamma, like I was telling you the other day, I think Gamma is like the highest impact hand trap you can main deck with the lowest restriction on activation, and especially like you were saying, since you can go into Lambda naturally, like I didn't even think about that because I mean I'm not really playing the deck right now. I think that payout is amazing.
Yeah, it's like I said, like you can't in a situation like that you can't lose. You know what I mean? Like if they have Nibiru and you have Gamma before you make Lambda, well they just lose even more because then you just get 2 free link materials and your board just becomes that much stronger.
Yeah, and then you, assuming you can still get the search off of, what's it called? Off of Lambda in the end phase by banishing Redoer.
Yeah, and you get
another Gamma.
Exactly. Plus, like, a lot of people don't realize it, but like one of the best cards you can make in that deck right now is like Perpetua, the rank 4.
Oh, yeah.
Simply because of what she provides. So she gets a guaranteed... Basically, this is what happens. When you resolve a Perpetua... While you have Time Thief Reader on the field, you get a guaranteed Phoenix Wing West effect that doesn't target. You get a guaranteed DD Crow interaction because you're going to put Flyback underneath of that card. I'm trying to think what else. And then if you have Winder in the Grave, guaranteed search for another combo piece at the start of your next turn. So like that card does a lot for that strategy.
Yeah. And then I mean, you just Redoer, like Redoer in general is a great card. I always think it's funny when you standby phase like steal the top card of their deck and it's just like something they need or just like a key piece in their strategy. So
for sure.
That's always just like it feels pretty good.
What is it? The last hand trap I think you would have main deck in that strategy because you have the room for it, but I would not play 3. I'd probably play 2 is probably DD Crow. It has the most mileage against everything this format. Because, like, obviously, like, it's like, super pivotal in, like, the Spiral combo. Like, if they go to revive that Master Plane, you just take it from them, then they're forced to somehow get the second one out of the deck. Obviously, in the Lunalight mirror match, it's really good because you can hit Martins, you can hit Tiger targets, you can hit Zephyros. Like, there's just the number of cards you can hit, and that's insane. Altergeist, it's not very good, but you can't stop their manifestations from resolving, so that's something to keep in mind.
At least
and then,
some application.
Yeah. And then the Rogue matchups is where it's also really good. So, like, it's good against the meta. It's also really good against Rogue. So, like, Salaman Great, all play from the graveyard by adding cards back with Sunlight Wolf. You stop that play immediately by doing that. Hero decks, you need Malicious in the graveyard. You need Destiny Heroes in the graveyard of some sort. So that way the Cross Crusader can resolve. If they go to kill you with Dark Calling and the only evil hero they have is a Dusted Gold, you can banish that. If they go for Miracle Fusion, you could banish Liquid Soldier, so they have to make an awkward play. Like, that card gets so much mileage against so many decks right now, so I think those are the definite hand traps to main deck. One other that I was considering, just because of how prevalent some of these decks are, I don't think it's very good against Spiral, but I think it's good against key combo pieces in that match. I think it's really good in the mirror matches, Infinite and Permanence. I think that card's actually a lot better than what people give it credit for right now.
I think I mean, even in the Spiral matchup, like Imperm isn't useless. Because, yeah, Resort stops the targeting for their Spiral monsters, but if they do set up the God board, right, Appaloosa Trigate Sleeper, at least you have something you can do to the Appaloosa to chain to it, assuming...
Oh, yeah, for sure.
At least it can do something, unlike back when Spiral was the best deck where you had targeting protection from Goblin. That was that format, right? Or was that before?
No, full power Spiral format didn't have Nightmare Goblin. You're thinking about when we just got the Nightmares and people were starting to play Spiral just for shits and giggles.
Oh, yeah, for fun.
And, like, Goblin was, like, actually insane in that. Goblin was insane in general, but it was really insane in that deck, and it was super insane Goki, obviously.
Yeah. All right, so in general, we'll get back to the decks in a second, but for non-hand trap side deck cards, what do you feel has the most impact besides evenly matched, right? Like, obviously, everybody knows that card's really good right now.
So that card's the best card in Yu-Gi-Oh! There's no doubt about that. Like, I will sit here and debate that for hours. But in terms of other side deck cards, like back row removal, I think is actually really important because not every single deck's going to play it. But I promise you, if you go with a strategy that I'm just going to play combo all format and you get stuck against one or two Altergeist players, you're going to be sitting there just wanting to keel over. So you got to play some sort of back row removal. I think Kaijus are really good right now. Just because I think it's so effective against the Spiral board, because like you could take away just like their Appaloosa, which is like really important, especially against like the extravagance builds, where like they're just ending on Sleeper Appaloosa, like that's their play, right? I think that one card, like just a Kaiju of any sort's like really, really good right now.
Yeah.
What other cards are really good? I don't think. Okay, so one card I don't think is very good is Lightning Storm.
Yeah.
Just because of how easy it is to play around it. And I notice another theme, too, is people are starting to side Judgment, so, like, that card just gets even worse.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, Lightning Storm is a good card in a vacuum. I just don't think right now... Like, it's not a bad card, right? Like, if you side it for 10 rounds, it's going to be useful at some point. You're not always going to be playing against Spiral. But it does have its downsides right now, and I just don't think it's worth playing. But I really like the idea of mind control right now. I know you can only play
mind control's insane,
but yeah, it's really good. It's not once per turn. It breaks the Trigate lock, and you steal the Appaloosa. And if you steal the Appaloosa, you answer the Sleeper. Just that one interaction is good. And if they don't have enough extenders to get to the Trigate, then you just steal the Appaloosa and do your entire turn uninterrupted.
For sure. I'll tell you another card I think is actually really good right now, and I hate to say it because it makes me sick to my stomach just thinking about it, but Mystic Mind's really good to side right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's really good to side. Like, I was watching a Spiral player. He's like, okay, they stop all my combo pieces. I just activate Mystic Mind and I'm like, what?
Activate Mystic Mind and do what?
You just activate Mystic Mind and then just keep drawing cards until you're ready to combo again.
Yeah. Mystic Mind is it's always going to have... So it's always going to come in and out. Like when combo is the best deck, going second, it's just so fucking overbearing. And like
very good.
Spiral has a lot of interaction, but at best they have one spell and trap negate, right? And like
usually,
not every build of the deck's playing Utility Wire, which personally, if I played it, I just really like that card. Just Wing Blast effects, like I'm a big fan of. So like I just would want to play it. Wing Blast effects
are really good. I'll tell you what card I actually really, really like, and it's probably best in Luna deck. Other decks can play it, but it's just really best in this one because you have so many extenders, is Anti-Magic Arrows. I don't know if anyone's seen that combo going around or anything, but it's actually cool. So what a lot of players... This is how I've seen it played. Obviously you can play it differently, but I've seen a lot of people, they'll summon 2 level 4s and see if their opponent has any sort of interaction before they do anything. And if they don't, what'll end up happening is they'll enter the battle phase. They'll activate Anti-Magic Arrows. And then main phase 2, they'll make Exotonite and just nuke the board. And I think that card's like actually really insane right now. So if that's something you're not prepared for, I'd definitely look out for that because that card it will ruin your day very fast, very quickly.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been playing since 2016. This card's only been talked about like 2 or 3 times in the past few years as being a potentially side deckable card. So it's really interesting to see that interaction, especially in Lunalight, where, like I said, they're just so toolboxy, and having access to the rank 4 engine, I just think is amazing. I can't wait to see this deck in MR5 because it just gets...
It's going to be scary.
It just gets so cool. You know, rank 4s have always been just... They're never busted, right? They're all just good, and having access to all of them just... I can't wait for it.
Lavalval Chain was pretty fucking broken.
Okay. All right. Ignoring Lavalval Chain and Shockmaster and Ptolemaios. Ignoring
those cards were actually insane.
Yes. Okay, so going on to Geist. What's the biggest downsides of playing Geist besides going second against Spiral?
It's a back row deck. It has the inherent flaw of being slow. But that being said, Altergeist obviously changes the entire dynamic of trap decks because it makes the concept of trap cards are now combo pieces, and it can play some of the deadliest traps in the main deck, like Solemn Judgment, Solemn Strike, Crackdown, Compulse, all these cards. Not to mention they have a in-archetype theme Rhoda that's not Altergeist in the name, but like it just keeps you going the entire time, and it's one of those decks that the longer it plays, the better and better it gets. It just has the initial problem of getting out the gate, and that's its biggest flaw. But that deck is still very powerful. Like, Meliseek's a card, Multi-Faker still at 1, you can recycle it a million times, and it's just really, really good. It's just, outright loses to cards like Evenly Matched and Lightning Storm and Twin Twister when you don't draw your pieces of interaction like Solemn Judgment or Imperial Order for Lightning Storm if you want to take it though. But I do think it's a deck that plays another very popular side because it works the best with its theme, and that's a Pointer of the Red Lotus.
That's like almost like Mind Crush, right? Banish it, pay 2,000, look at your opponent's hand, banish a card till the next end phase.
Yeah, till the next end
their
phase.
next end phase.
And I think that card plays the best in that deck specifically because of Multi-Faker.
Yeah.
Because then once you see it, you can see if it's safe to summon Multi-Faker or not.
So if you have access to Multi-Faker and a set manifestation and you resolve that Faker, you have game next turn, don't you?
Yeah, they can't play through it at that point because think about it. You took away their power card that clears the board for them to play. You now have a guaranteed Multi-Faker resolution, which is probably going to get a Silk, which is another form of interaction. Plus, you have a complete script of what's in their hand, so now you can just follow along as they play.
Yeah. But I mean, just
that works best in trap strategies.
Strictly damage speaking, like if you resolve Faker with a set manifestation, isn't that like 8,300 damage or something?
It's pretty close. I know it's either just over game or a little under it, but there's enough of a push that you can get through it.
Yeah. So, I mean, Geist is super strong. It's just you do have to play that gambling match. Like, am I going to have the right die roll wins against the right matchups sometimes? Like,
yeah.
It just does come down to that. That's Yu-Gi-Oh! All right, so Salamangreat, you said you've been talking about this for a little bit with Aldo. Why do you guys think it's so strong? Because I mean, I just feel like it can't really go second against Spiral.
So we don't think it's like that strong. We don't think like it has like big power plays or anything like that. But we both come to the conclusion that there's not a single deck this format that's going to outgrind Salamangreat. So
100%.
There's just not a single deck to do it. Like you're guaranteed that you're going to be able to play every single turn. Your Sunlight Wolves are adding back cards. Your Gazelles are setting up more plays for you. You have cards in Foxy that keep recurring themselves. You have Spinnies for extenders. You have Jaguar, Falco Foul. Like all these cards are going to replace themselves in some way, shape, or form. They either blank a card or they replace themselves. And then it's another one of those decks, just like Salamangreat, not Salamangreat, I'm sorry, but just like Altergeist or Guru Controller, any other back row-esque type deck, the longer it plays, the better it gets. And even though everything it does is very simple, it's also very powerful in that same aspect, whereas you can play... one of the neat things is because we don't have Mirage Style, you kind of change of how your deck plays, so you can play like more of the trap cards in your deck and have a better chance of revealing one off Foxy and opening one. because like cards like Rage and Roar are actually just insane. Like Rage having non-targeting destruction is really good. Roar being a solemn judgment, so you don't outright lose cards like evenly match is really good. And if you think about it, the deck also has built-in protection against cards like Lightning Storm because of Banelings. So that being said, the fact that it grinds better than any other deck in the format and it has very generic plays, I think it's a very, very good pick for this format, even without Mirage Dahlia.
Yeah, I did see a couple of the lists actually bumped the traps up to a 6 total count. Would you go that far and really play 3 Roar, 3 Rage, or?
So I think in terms of the trap, this is the one thing that me and him have been debating about, because I think the perfect number of traps is 4, where I think he agrees that the perfect number of traps are 4, but he doesn't know, and I don't know either, if it's a 2-2 split that we should do or the 3-1 split you should do. But I think I lean more towards the 3-1 split because I think Rage is just the better card right now because of how powerful it is.
Yeah, and
because it's non-targeting destruction.
And with Roar, you do get that free set basically at any point, so you do get double value out of it. I know that kind of cuts off the recursion, but if you just need that one more turn, you know for a fact you have access to it. Yeah. I'm curious, are you guys playing the rank 3 Fire Fist or the level 6 Synchro Fire Fist at all? Or like how you guys...
We originally, I had talked about doing it, and then another guy at my local playing the Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Horse Prince. That's what you're talking about, because it's like a Mirage Stalio. And there's like a cute combo with like, if you open regular combo plus extender, you can end up searching Ash Blossom to your hand as another form of interaction, because Horse Prince can summon Ash Blossom out of the deck, and you can use it to make Sunlight Wolf. But ultimately, my personal thoughts on it is I think that because people are main decking cards like DD Crow and Droll Lockbird and stuff like that, that specific build of it loses infinitely worse to those type of hand traps. Whereas if you just play like a regular build that's not tuned in doing that, just like a more standard streamline build, those cards, DD Crow's still very impactful to you, but Droll Lockbird becomes less impactful to you because you don't actually add cards from your deck to hand. You add them from the graveyard. That's completely different. So you're eliminating a card you lose to immediately by not playing that specific build, because if you play, you got to play Resonators, you got to play Resonator's Call, and you 100% have to play Debug, which I think you should play Debug regardless, but those are just cards that lose even worse to Droll Lockbird, so you're putting yourself in a bad situation to start.
Okay.
But other than that, that's basically like the thought process we put behind it.
Last question, because I've put a lot of surface level theory into this deck, not really anything in detail. The rank 3 that adds back was it level 4 or lower fire from your grave?
Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Line Emperor is the one you're talking about.
Do you play that, right?
We've gone back and forth. I haven't tested it enough to be convinced on it, but like in theory it's really good because it's another it's another Sunlight Wolf, if you think about it.
You get that resource back and your spinny stays in play. So
I think if we were playing more spinnies, I think you would play it for sure, but right now, like in my list, like I'm playing one spinny because I don't think it's that good anymore. Stalio, so
okay. All right. We'll touch up on the other 2 rogue decks, and in my opinion, Guru is more or less the same as Altergeist. I actually do think it's a little bit worse because you can't kill your opponent like Altergeist can, unless you just open like Umastrix and Guru, but it's more or less the same, right?
Yeah, more or less. Let me put it this way: if we had a more consistent way to get to Guru, I think it would be more prevalent than Altergeist is right now.
Yeah,
the fact of the matter is you don't have enough Gurus.
The hit to terraforming really did affect decks like Guru and Invoked, where you have that 1 card engine through your field spell. Mm-hmm. And I mean, losing 2 copies of it, you can play set rotation, then you're stuck playing a shitty like other field spell. I will say this though, mine or something, but
yeah, it does play the best floodgate in the game right now very well, and there can only be one. That being said, that's about the only thing it has going for it. Right?
All right. So I mean, that's really all I want to say about that. It's just another trap deck. You play it the same, except it doesn't. I really like how Altergeist can manage the resources right now. they don't have the worst situation in the meta. Or Guru, I just think is just a worse engine than Altergeist in the current game, obviously. And the last rogue deck I want to talk about is Dinos, which is a deck, shout outs to Doug, that he hates. But the deck, I mean, the deck is really fun to play, especially if you're only playing a really small event like a locals. Like, the deck is it's just satisfying to play, in my opinion. But it conveniently has a really good matchup at breaking spiral boards right now. And I think that's the reason why people are talking about it.
Dinos is just one of those decks, man. Like, it just has big power plays for a deck that's relatively like budget-esque and stuff like that. I mean, like, if you're playing builds that play extravagance, I mean, that's completely different. But I mean, like, most decks can't deal with a conductor Tyrant right now, and that's kind of scary.
Yeah. What I do like about it is it kind of went back to the version of the deck that I like. For a long time, it was this IB combo deck, and since IB is no longer in the format, it's kind of just reverted to, I'm going to break your board and fucking kill you.
Yeah, more or less. I mean, like, it's if you think about it, it's full power Dino. Like, you have 3 of every Dino card. Yeah,
and you have answers to, like, the best decks of the format. Like, I mean, Lost World's a really good card. You activate Lost World and you summon Overraptor with Miscellaneous Source in your hand. There's nothing a spiral board can do if they let that go through, because there's fucking nothing. But I mean, the deck is just strong. I've seen a couple of different ways to play it, where you're like turboing into Quatless, like hard summoning it by banishing like 4 off Miscellanea, and like I think that was one that topped a regional, or
that's like one.
Actually, was that the one that was at the YCS, or not the YCS, the PPG?
Yeah, but I mean, like, I can't remember the guy's name, but like, I think that's like one of the biggest pick-me-ups the deck's gotten that people had just forgotten. Like, since now you have 3 Miscellaneous Source, it's just like so much easier to naturally summon Quadralus out of your hand, and like it's just a free negation when you do that.
Yeah, it's a free negation that gives you a resource, which it's not like some random shitty card that you're like, yeah, I'll take it. It's a fucking double evolution pill.
And that's just that's a lone fire blossom for Ultimate Conductor Tyranno at any point. For simply playing the game.
The only way that card could be better is if it was a quick play.
That's about that would be ridiculous.
Could you imagine?
It's like, oh yeah, I'll chain double evolution pill on resolution conductor effects.
Yeah, I can just imagine Doug's face right now if that was a quick play.
Oh man, I can physically. We have him muted, and I can physically hear him bashing his head into the wall right now. And it's so satisfying thinking about that.
All right, so let's shout out some decks that just didn't make the cut this format, or it's not looking like they're going to. So shout out to Sky Striker, Orchist. What else?
Shout out to that Zoo guy. That man is a legend in my eyes.
Congratulations, man. I appreciate what you're doing for all of us.
I'm mad that I bought Mega Clops because of you, but that's besides.
So, what else? I mean, like other decks that can do okay. I think Invoked has a decent setup this format. Necros. I think Necros has a horrible format right now. So, but you were saying about Invoked.
What is it? Doug's saying that I actually did really good this week, and this format. Like, I'm a firm believer that can be really good this format. We just have to find the right list, because if you think about it, all the hand traps that we were talking about that are good, like, they're all good in that deck. Mechapa's a really good card, and you can just kill out of nowhere, which a lot of decks can't do. That being said, it also loses to a lot of the popular hand traps right now, like Drone Lockbird and DD Crow, and to an extent, kind of Gamma. But like, it's just one of those decks. Like, if you're not paying attention, it will win out of nowhere. So I think that deck's really good right now.
All right. And if there's anything I know about you and me, it's we will never stop trying to make that deck be good. But it just won't. Oh, no, it just won't happen. It's just always going to be good enough, right? And that's the problem.
You can put Alistair to 1, and I'm still going to play it.
That's the problem with our favorite decks, is they're usually underdogs, but that's why we play them, because we love them, not because they're the best deck. But we are out of time. So, Joe, you got any closing comments?
Shout out to whoever thought of Extravagant Spiral. You guys are assholes.
You guys are fucking madmen.
Yeah.
That's all I'm
also,
saying.
I mean, other than dumping $2,500 into a Yu-Gi-Oh to play, Douglas Francesco.
Piccolo, you have no sauce. Hey.
All right, guys, that has been X2 Drop. If you have enjoyed us, please remember to check us out on iTunes, Google Play every Monday at 8 a.m. And 10 a.m. on YouTube, youtube.com/bingohd, youtube.com/The Duel Factory. I will see you guys back here, same time, same place next week, and we'll go over the YCS results. So, peace out.
Okay, bye.